Yeah, so this session is aimed at providers who are already using Nourish. We appreciate, that you've got really busy jobs and quite often, you don't get the capacity to sit and have a play with systems that you've got. You might not be using it to its fullest kind of capacity. So there are lots of small providers here, larger ones, a real myriad of types of settings that are all using it. So hopefully this is going to give you a bit of a dive in a bit deeper at some of the features, having a look at them. There'll be time for Q&A, I think, at the end. Shaden and Alicia are going to talk us through that from Nourish. So hopefully, this will be useful for you. We will record it, so if you want to come back to anything, you can do that, and I'll send you the links to it afterwards as well. So if I can hand over to Shaden and Alicia from Nourish, that'd be fantastic. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
We're pleased to be here.
Yeah.
So we've got a slide deck. Shaden, if you wouldn't mind sharing first of all.
Sure. This is the bit we were trying to work out the logistics with, so just bear with us for a second.
It's working.
Perfect. You can see that.
Oh,
See the screen.
brilliant.
Mouse is over here. So you drag it across.
Can you do
Yeah.
move that bit? Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we just need to present here.
Yeah. Sorry, this is just where it's just taking its time. There we go.
Okay,
And they can see the screen here. So
cool. So thanks everybody so much for joining us today. So I'm Alicia and I'm joined by my colleague Shaden. We are customer success managers at Nourish. And we're really pleased to be here. So
everyone can see this screen here, isn't it, with the black? Is that right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to switch the screen over. I'm so sorry. Because they can see this screen here.
okay.
Good start, everyone, right? Everyone's going to see their own beautiful faces right now, so bear with me for just a second while I bring that back up.
Oh, there's nothing worse than double of yourself, is there, at the end of a long week?
It's wonderful. It's a good way to finish the week. There we go. Right. Perfect.
I'll just go back one, I think. Oh, brilliant. So for today we'll do a couple of intros in terms of Nourish and the wider team. I'll do a quick system overview and just show you how you use Nourish day to day. Shaden is going to run through how you would prepare for CQC. So CQC readiness. We're going to go over just our contact details in case people want to contact us, and just to make sure that people know who to contact as well. I think it's important just to do a refresher. And then at the end, like Mel said, we're hoping to have time for a Q&A. Cool. So in terms of our team here at Nourish, this is the part of the customer success team. So it's important to know if ever you're working with your customer success manager, it is feeding back into the wider Nourish team as well. So our team's headed up by Ruth as our director of customer success. She looks after the Nourish system as well as the Nourish community system and rostering system. Then there's Ryan, who looks after all the customer success managers. So there's me and Shaden that you'll see on the screen. There's 7 of us in total and growing, mainly dedicated to help you guys get the most out of the system and help you with anything sort of contract related as well. Then next, cool. So we're going to do a quick system overview. So this is really aimed at how do I know what I need to check on Nourish from a day-to-day perspective. So I'm just going to change and show you our beta site. How do I?
Yep. So there once again, beautiful faces.
Straight from a tech company.
Yep. And so this one is over here. I'll bring this across. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can everyone see that okay?
If we don't hear anything, we'll do it. Just being that everything's all okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
Brilliant. This page should be really, really familiar to you. So this is your landing page when you log into the system. So you'll always be presented with the people that you support on our test site or our sandbox, if you like. We do refer to the people supported as residents. Yours might be terms different. That's the beauty of Nourish, is that it is very configurable. So you can pick what terminology you have. Up here, you've also got your services. If you just have one service, then you won't see this bit, but if you look after multiple, then you'll see on here how you can change. Like I say, we're on a test site, so please forgive us if you see any strange names or things that look a bit alarming. These aren't real people, it's just sort of our play around environment. So here, just some basics. Obviously, you can see how many people supported, how many staff members you have, and how many interactions are scheduled on there. So as a service manager, you log into Nourish. Brilliant. You can see this screen. But I guess the other part is, okay, so what next? What do I need to check when I come into work? So what we always recommend doing is having a look at this tab here. So this is the interactions tab. We refer to this almost as like a to-do list, if you like. So you can see what's scheduled on the timeline and what needs to be completed. You can see here it's done by day. You can flick across. And you can go forward in time as well. So this is really useful to make sure that the care that's scheduled is actually something that's being completed. So if we take an example here, we can see that we've got a couple of forms, monitoring forms that should have been completed today. And we can see that they have been completed because there's 2 records scheduled and 2 of them have been closed. And then you can click in, see a bit of information, see who completed it, see at what time. And then if you click in, you'll get a bit more breakdown. So you'll get the individual form or the interaction, if you like, and it will tell you which person supported it relates to. At the top here, just click back in. You can search as well. I'm sure a lot of you have lots of different interactions, lots of different things scheduled. So this is brilliant. So we can see on here for breakfast, we had 137 records scheduled. And then here we can see that 6 of them have been completed. Bear with while it loads. There we go. Okay. So this is really useful because you can start to see, okay, this record. Okay, so we can see Jolene's had her breakfast. No concerns raised there. Then you can start to go through and see, okay, these are still sitting on the timeline. So who have we not got to yet? Who's still missing? Obviously, this is a demo site, so hopefully you would have a lot less on here. But then you can go through and you can see, okay, John hasn't had his yet. And then you can go and speak to your teams and just see why that is. So that's the interactions tab. So that's like your scheduled care. So anything that's scheduled on the timeline will show on here. And that's how you can start to see what is being completed. Really good if you happen to not be in your service that day as well. So you can have a look just as an overview of the site. Shading, do you have anything to add?
No, maybe just the multi-close, so the 3 dots in the top right, just so everyone's aware, is the ability to group select. So you can go through and select multiple to close off. So activities, for example, if you have 25 of your residents attend one activity, you can close those all in bulk. Maybe it was leaf painting or whatever it might be. So that's right. If there's nothing in there, sorry, we hadn't prepared for that, so I just thought I'd add that in. But if you've got any questions around that, please do approach us.
Yeah, exactly. So like Shaden said, for anything that's like a group activity, it could even be things like perhaps flu jabs, COVID jabs, etc. You can do group selects and close them all down in one go, as well as save you having to go through each person individually and just save you some admin time. So that's our sort of timeline interactions, if you like, for our scheduled activities. The other thing that we would recommend checking to make sure that you have good oversight is this handovers. So we're going to load up the handovers. Like I say, this is a demo site, so you will see some gaps. Apologies, our internet in the office isn't the world's greatest internet. So you can see that? Yeah. Cool. So on the handovers, you'll see here, like I say, we've got some funny names on here. This is a list of every single person that's eligible for a handover. You can change your filters. So you can select a date range to pick individual dates to look at handovers. You can see what's been completed in the last 24 hours. Yeah. Cool. So last 24 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours, 4, and then the last hour as well. If you're scrolling through and you can look and you can see with your residents, they're all listed alphabetically. Okay, and you can see if no handover has been completed. This could just be because it's not relevant, right? Not everybody necessarily needs a handover every single day. So it could be that nothing noteworthy has happened. But of course, if there's important things on there, you would be expecting to see them on there. If we just look here, we can see some that have been completed earlier today. So if I look for our resident Jolie, we can see here that the carer decided to hand over some information about personal care, just to say, please can you make sure that you're checking on Jolene throughout the day. Also, we can see here that Jolene had a fall on here as well. So it's highlighting the important information to hand over. Really good for shift changes. I guess prior to Nourish, you probably would have done them on paper. Now you can do them on here, which means that you can refer back to any times. Also good if you have any investigations or anything and you want to look at the handovers that happened on a specific day, you can flick back through and use them as evidence for perhaps like safeguarding or complaints if needed as well. So that's the handover tab, the other part that we recommend checking. Shane, do you have anything to add on there?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Brilliant. The other bit that we recommend to look at is the warnings. So within Nourish, you'll get warnings for different things. So let's have a look at what we've got here. You'll get warnings for things like if a care plan review hasn't been completed, or individual warnings that have been set up for residents, such as if you've maybe got people on fluid trackers, or anybody that's had a fall, there'll be warnings raised there as well. So when you go through and complete interactions, you can select if there's a reason to raise like a low warning or a high warning. And there are a couple that automate through. So if we look here, you can see that on the warnings tab, it's done by severity. So we're going to have all the red warnings at the top, and then we're going to have the lower warnings underneath. So in a total, we've got 6. You can tell here it's got 6, and then there's 3, and then 3. If we click in, we can see what these warnings are. Okay, so we can see here that this is a triaging that needs to be completed. So there was an accident incident that happened for this resident, and we need to complete the triage. We haven't completed the triage within the time frame. It's currently sitting at 3 hours late. Okay, so if that's then been completed, you can simply just turn the warning off, and then that one will disappear. Important to note that everything on the system is audited. So if ever you need to check and see who turned something off and why, you can see here who it was turned off by, if there was a note, what time it was turned off, and how long the warning sat open for as well. You can see here we've also got lower warnings for things like fluid intakes as well. So I've set a target for this resident and it hasn't been met, so that's why the warning's going on. And this is also a good opportunity for you to check that your schedules are up correctly. If you've got hundreds and hundreds of warnings, it could be that maybe when you embedded Nourish, you could have got a bit like happy setting up the targets and things, and that maybe they just need to be reviewed. So it's a good opportunity to check through as well. But that's how you would check up on your warnings as well, to make sure that you're not missing anything major or important. So if there's anything that happens throughout the day that you do need to make the management team aware of, do make sure that you press the red warning bell when completing the interaction, or the amber one if it's lower. Shayden, anything to add here?
No, I think that's good. I think the dashboard would be a good one.
Yeah, cool. Okay, no worries. The other bit that's really good for overview is the dashboards as well, and they do sometimes get missed. So we're just going to take a quick look at our dashboards. Here we go. Cool. So all the dashboards on Nourish are down here. They're signified by the little bar graph icon, if you like. Click in. Now, as this is a demo site, you might see some extra boards that you don't possibly have at your location, and we're just going to go through the standard ones today. If you were interested in any of our additional boards, please do speak to your customer success manager. But as a standard, you should all have this overview board. Yeah, that's why it loads.
Lots of data.
So all the data on this system is held in the system called Power BI. So it's quite interactive. So there's different elements where you can go through and change how the data is displayed. So we've got our overview here, which tells you some information about occupancy. Team members, any incidents, daily interactions. As I say, this is a demo site, so hence why you're not seeing very much on here. And then also some information about your warnings, okay? So you can see low warnings versus high. So that can be really useful for you from a safe perspective. Of course, if you're raising a lot of high warnings, you can have a look and just see why that might be. Also, would be of some kind of alert if you weren't raising any warnings at all. Then we have some information just about our care and support plans. This is a really good one for us to check to see how Nourish is being used, because it tells you how many reviews have been completed and the volume in the last month. This is showing you the whole service as a whole. So if you have multiple care homes that you're supporting or services, you can drill down just on here. It's always defaulted to all. Okay, so you can select and just look at a specific one if you wanted to. If we change that, it will just change the data that's displayed. There we go. So in Pathway House, we support 40 people. Let's take that back to. Oh, okay, brilliant. Just remember that up there, this top one is how you can filter within your services. That's just the overview board that gives you some basic information. Then, of course, we've got further information about the people that we support. So this is looking at the number of people cared for in your services. Of course, we've got access to multiple services here, hence why there's multiple listed here. And this looks at the people you support versus the capacity. Okay, this is useful to have a look at in case you maybe have people that you need to discharge off the system, especially if the people you support is higher than the capacity. Okay, the capacity is based off the CQC registration, is that right, Shaden? Yeah, cool. So that's a good way to check to make sure that you're looking after got the right amount of profiles on the system. And here is just a table view, so you give a tabular view of that data and a bit more detail. It's interactive, so you can sort through. So we can see we're looking at all the active people at the top. Then we can look at suspended. So people that are suspended could be that maybe they're in hospital, maybe they've gone out for the day and we're not providing care to them. So a good way then to check to make sure that everybody's in the right status. Oh, then we've just got some information about incidences that have happened as well. So again, this is a breakdown by service. If you just have one service that you're looking after, you'll just see one up there. This breaks down for incident type, which is probably really good for your reporting. So you can see, okay, so there was an incident, and what type of incident was it? You can start to see if there's patterns. So for us, it looks like we're getting quite a lot of strips and falls. Why is that? And then over here, we can start to see the data presented in a table as well. I'm not going to click on it just for internet speed, but it's important to note here, whenever you see URL, it will take you to that individual piece of data. So in this example, it would take me over to the interaction that was completed for this incident for that resident, which is useful to look at too. And then we've got some further detail about the types of warnings raised as well. So again, warning breakdown by service. We can see how many high warnings we're raising, how many low, and then we can see by trigger. So if it says overdue, overdue means things like care plans. So that could be a reason why a warning's made, or unmet targets. Can also be a reason, or I believe that one's manual. Yeah, so manual will be when you're completing an interaction for whatever reason, if you're adding a warning on there as well. So good just to have a look in and just see. Obviously, if you don't get any raised manually, it could just be that your teams don't know how to do it. So that's one to look at as well. Then again, you've got the data presented on a table. Further down, we've just got more information just about the care and support plans. Here you can see how many care plans are in date. Really good for you to evidence that you're reviewing your care plans for CQC on here as well. So you can show how many are in date, how many have gone overview. This bit's also really good because you can see here if some of them have been completed without a review date. So in Nourish, it can be quite easy to miss the review date at the top where it says select next review date. So important to check there. Again, if you click on this, you'll see that it's changing the data that's presented. So on this table here, I can drill down and see the individual person supported, what care plan it is, and then I can take the link and go and review that plan there and then as well. So that's really useful. Here we've got some information about the team members. So these are the team members that are using the Nourish system. This gives us a breakdown just to see when they were last logged into the system. This is useful because it can help you ensure that you're not giving access to anybody that you shouldn't. So good for digital security. So it shows you how frequently people logged in, or when they last logged in, sorry. The yellow means people haven't logged in for more than 4 weeks. If you click on that,
Less.
brilliant. So then you can start to see the service the person's located in, their name and what their role is. And then you can go through and you can archive off their accounts if they no longer need them. It could be that they've left. So you just need to make sure that you're closing down the accounts that are not giving access to anybody that doesn't need it. You might see this person's names listed multiple times. It's because they have access to multiple services. If you were wondering why that is. And for people that have never logged in, also important just to close down those accounts if they don't need them. It could be that you perhaps given access to maybe like maintenance or kitchen staff that it turns out didn't need the system, or you set maybe up somebody that didn't end up starting. So just important to go through and close those down. So that's how you can keep track. So that's really good to evidence so you can see how you're keeping your system safe and how you're keeping the data. Then just information here just on interactions. Again, with all these boards, you can drill down into specific services, you can look at regions or divisions. So this just gives you a breakdown of all the interactions that have been planned or carried out. So here it's a test site, so we've missed quite a few of them and it gives you the volume. Then you can see the closed as planned. Your guys will be a lot higher than that because you'll be actively using the system day in, day out. But that's really good to show you to keep on top of like your organisation, if you like, to make sure that you're closing things down as per the schedule and of course like adding things in as when they happen to. Also good so you can keep an eye on what's being cancelled. If there's a large volume of things being cancelled, it could be that the schedules just need amending. Anything to add there, Shayden?
No, I think that's pretty good. I think we covered it there.
Cool. And the last one. This one's relatively straightforward. So this looks at our pathways at your service. So this is just a good way to make sure that everybody has the right status. So you can see the breakdown of who we've got in pre-admission or pre-assessment, which can be good to help evidence our inquiries. We can see who's enrolled in the system and then who's actually admitted, so who we're actually looking after, who's suspended, so out at hospital, out for the day, etc. Who we've got on board in, any emergency admissions as well, and then who's left in the last 28 days. Again, this gives just that breakdown. So if I want to just see who's admitted, I can click, and then this table here will change. So it's really interactive, our dashboards, and you can click through to make sure that you're looking at the data that's important to you. Obviously, Nourish is a big system and you guys are putting in loads and loads of data every day. So it's important to make sure you know that you can drill down to the things that you need. I can also just look at one particular service if I wanted to and see the breakdown there. So that's like an overview on the system of how you guys look after Nourish and what we recommend. Shayden is next going to run through some CQC readiness bits, so how you evidence the great care that you provide to CQC. Bear with us while we're just
going to transfer over. Sorry. Everyone can have a breather. I'll switch this across. Right, you're going to see your beautiful faces again. It's either a good thing or a bad thing, I'll let you decide. So bear with me just there. And I'm going to now present this. When it decides it's easy with that. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm going to assume the stunned silence means that you can see the slide that's in front of you at the moment. So cool. So jump forward here. Bite-sized learning session, because it will be a bite-sized learning session on CQC inspection readiness. So the idea, so when we got approached with this webinar, we're sort of like, what should we show them? Should we show them different bits of the system, what features and whatnot? But I was sort of wanting to come in at a different sort of angle where I know the majority of people on here are probably using Nourish already day to day. And so that's why we wanted to have Alicia go through some of those recommended areas. And then I wanted to sort of come in and just sort of make sure when you're using your Nourish system, when you're coming into work, when you're leaving work, when you're thinking about work, whatever it's going to be, that you're thinking about those preparedness questions and what they are. And it might be the case that, you know, as you'll see here, there might be some questions that you go, oh, I haven't thought of that before. You know, maybe I need to consider that. And so the idea behind the next couple of slides here is to sort of spark the old grey matter into, you know, oh, I need to actually take this back to my service, and I need to implement this, or I might need to consider this for how my day to day, but also to implore you to approach us, you know, come to your customer success manager, talk with us about how we can help you achieve the relevant, you know, area of the CQC sort of inspection guidance. So
Cool.
yeah, so I'm going to push forward now anyway, because we are limited for time and I like to chat. So yeah, right. Basically, so preparing your people, so care and support teams, you know, talking to your care and support teams, are they prepared and confident and competent with the Nourish system? So we don't want any surprises during the inspection. Like that's a big one, right? And we want to be aware of any sort of issues or problems that may arise ahead of time, basically. And so you may have joined or may have seen our CQC webinar just before Christmas. I think it was a couple of months, maybe October, November.
Yeah.
Where they basically said, you know, they can tell where people have a practice response, and then what actually happens is the team actually then go, actually, this is my real thoughts on what's happened. And so maybe, you know, maybe a takeaway from here could be to consider some systems show and tell sessions with your team as a standard agenda item in team meetings, maybe a handover and one-to-ones, and asking your teams where they can find some information. You know, so you could set a task for them. You know, show me where you'd find your daily handovers. You know, for a specific person. You know, and can they demonstrate where they record and find this information in the care plans and the handovers? What are they likely to say to an inspector when asked about the system? So those show and tell sessions could be a really good way for you as sort of oversight to sort of say, okay, cool, are we prepared? And if we're not, we can talk about that. You know, again, speak with your customer success manager. That's what we're here for. And yeah, so just asking those questions, you know, care and support teams, are my people prepared? Managers and leaders. So probably majority of people possibly on this call and fit that role, or at least we know the people that are. So essentially, you know, the question, are managers aware of how they can and should allow inspectors to access the system? So I know I've certainly had this question come from several of my customers where it's, you know, should they provide the inspector with a read-only account or leave them to navigate the system and have someone sit with them and assist them, you know, show me where this is, show me that is, and they're clicking away frantically. And so my sort of, it doesn't matter. I mean, the inspector will probably tell you what they want anyway. But I would say for the most part, it's all about how you're going to tell a story. So if they're going to sit there and just click through themselves, it's hard to convey that story. In the recent CQC webinar that we did back in October, I will reference that a lot. So I'm so sorry if it sounds like I'm going on about it, but it was a really good webinar and really quite telling. So they spoke about, it's all about telling a story. They want edge cases and good examples. Whereas if they're just clicking through themselves, it's pretty hard to do that. So maybe it's worth, you know, joining them in that session, going through with them. Yeah, and so as the sort of managers and leaders themselves, are you confident, or are they confident to demonstrate those areas? So you have to think, you know, if they're going to ask me about certain areas, what story am I going to tell them? You know, how can I show them the dashboards, audits, and reports? Do they all align? You know, the message that I'm trying to tell here, yeah, we're good, we're great. Is it all aligning towards that one message? And importantly, are they able to pull the information requested quickly and confidently? So is your reporting skill up to scratch? Can you access your dashboards? similar to what Alicia's just gone through here with those overview dashboards. Do you really know what they're telling you? If you don't, and so the message behind this, and the reason I wanted to put this in like this, is that's what we're here for. Approach your customer success manager. We want to talk to you. We want to show you how to use this and get the best out of the system, because it's all there. All your data's in there. If it's being input, it's all there, ready to go. Cool. Right. Onwards. Preparing your people. Central operations and quality assurance. Are the right people monitoring the system and providing feedback on how the system is being utilized? So similar message here. Are you confident that when an inspection happens, that the people who are overlooking the system know how to find that data? Are they clear on the policies and procedures? So if they're asked around that related to digital systems, are you using service management within the Nourish system? If that's a new term and that you've heard me just use there, service management, we have a whole sort of way of managing those audits and policies and procedures within the Nourish system. So if you're not, please, again, reach out to us. That's what we're here. Our contact details are going to be at the back end of this this presentation. And if you don't know who your customer success manager is, please reach out to either me or Alicia or the email that we're going to provide to you. And so again, that leads into the updates and changes to the system or ways of working clearly communicated to managers and care and support teams. And so there's a bit of bonus on Nourish themselves there. Are we pushing that date? Are we pushing those updates to you in an effective way, or is it not really coming through? Are you not able to read the emails or the pop-ups that are coming in? That's what we want to know, as a CSM, so that we can make sure that you are getting those communications effectively. So, yeah, is there anything you want to add there, Alicia?
Just on the note of any changes to the system, I think it's really important. Obviously, Nourish is a digital system and it's going to evolve and it's going to change over time. And of course, it's going to change over time with how care legislation changes and the direction in that. So, yeah, it's really important to make sure that you're getting our release notes. And if you're not, then obviously please get in contact with us, and then you can evidence to CQC, okay, Nourish is making this change to the system and this is how I'm going to communicate it to our team, because of course we can make changes to the system, but it's hard to filter that down from us to the frontline staff. So I guess it's just about how you guys can evidence and how you're taking the communication from Nourish and filtering it down into your team, so that as the technology changes, the ways of working change too. But yeah, that was something I think to add there.
Cool, thank you. And I'm going to power through the next couple of slides because we are quickly running out of time. We're coming up to question. Cool. Right. Areas of the system to review. So looking at our statements, so CQC statements, and we tried to break this down into different areas of the system just to consider when engaging in those conversations, either internally or again with your customer success manager. You might see a question in this next section that you go, oh, I wasn't aware Nourish did that, or I'm aware Nourish did that, but we haven't set that up. How do I do that? Again, customer success, that's come and talk to us. That's what we want. So we say, so the first statement there is the service safe? Are warnings on the system being monitored and followed up, and actions completed and recorded? Basically, it's all around that closing the loop. So something triggers, are you closing the loop? Are you following up on that? You saw the alarm bells where Alicia was in her demo there. Are we keeping on top of those? When I'm coming in daily, am I checking those alarm bells, making sure that the red and amber alerts are managed? Moving on to accident incident forms. Are they being completed correctly with follow-up actions and lessons learned completed by managers? So there's some really nifty technology behind the incidents and accidents. And that's only evolving over the next probably 3 to 12 months. There's some really good work coming in with that. There's a couple of neat tricks as well to do with warnings around the triage, setting warnings on the triage and making sure that you are informed when these incident accident forms need to happen, because I know that's a really big sort of thing that I get in from a lot of my customers is they see the incident form, the initial triage, but it's the follow-ons that there. So putting a warning onto there could be something that we could consider to help oversight of that. Is skin integrity and wound management being used appropriately and effectively? Are records of referrals to NDT and follow-up actions being maintained? So these are just all those sort of questions that hopefully are in the back of your mind and saying, oh, I need to know how to do that. Is medication administration being recorded accurately? Are errors found and learned from? Anything, Felicia?
Yeah, so I guess the main point of this slide is looking at the key line of inquiry of SAFE. So the idea of it is like the different areas in the Nourish system that you can look at just to demonstrate that that you're carrying out safe care, really. So the point Shaden's mentioned so far, accidents and incidents. Of course, in a ideal situation, we'd have no accidents and incidents, but that's not how things work. So I guess it's just about how are you demonstrating on Nourish that you're closing the loop and following things up? So it'll be like the debrief, lessons learned, etc. So yeah.
Cool. I will push forward. I think everyone knows the schedule here.
Yeah.
So the next one, is the service effective? So again, quite hard to quantify in sort of, in terms here, but the overview dashboard can be used as evidence people needs are being assessed regularly, that people's outcomes are identified, and care and support plans are regularly reviewed and updated. So the section we were looking at with Alicia earlier, so those the dashboards that we were looking at are a really powerful way to sort of show the regulation and the management of outcomes and identified needs, and not only that they're being reviewed, but they're also being updated and they're monitored, and that's how you're sort of working day to day. Care plan agreement signatures can be used to evidence resident family involvement in the care and support planning process. Again, a really good one. That if I said that sentence to you and you go, "Oh, that sounds good," or "I didn't know we could do that," CSM, reach out to us.
Yeah, that's sorry to jump in.
Yeah, please.
I was just going to say that's a relatively new feature. So that one I think came out towards the end of the summer. So that's just a really good way in terms of measuring effectiveness to show, okay, we've got all our care plans recorded on Nourish, and we can also capture signatures from relatives on there as well. So I think that's really useful as well to go, okay, we've got our care plans and our families are being involved, and they're also like agreeing with how we're caring for their relatives. So yeah, that's a new feature. Like Shaden says, if you're unsure how to access it, please reach out to us.
Perfect. Thank you. Consider keeping a record of qualifications and training on staff profiles with easy to view review dates and evidence ongoing professional development. So yeah, really, really sort of quite an important one. One-to-ones, for example, any sort of review that you're having with your staff, the data can be kept within the Nourish system. It's really, and in particular, those dashboards can be really useful for that. How many interactions are you putting on? Are you missing them? All of the stuff around that, the login times, what time you're coming in, that sort of thing, all the policies around it can all be stored, managed, and monitored within the Nourish system, and then used for a really effective one-to-one, so that you can monitor that professional development of your staff. Our personalised daily fluid and meal records being used to evidence adequate nutrition and hydration. Our records of referrals to salt or dietitians, etc., being maintained. Our DOLS records up to date and monitored. All of these sort of benefits of using the Nourish system, and just making sure that it's evidencing is the service effective.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. Anything you want to add?
No, nothing else. Thank you.
I think we're running out of time, so we'll keep pushing. We've got a few minutes. Okay, cool, perfect. Is the service caring? Again, another one quite difficult to quantify. So the system does a really good job with that. Are you able to evidence care plans that are person-centered, taking into account people's abilities through backgrounds and preferences? Are you uploading photos of activities onto specific interactions, things like that? How are you going to make that really person-centered around the people we're caring for or providing support to? Are biographies completed, and do staff read them to know a little bit about the person they're supporting? So again, that could be in those sessions I mentioned at the start, and the one-to-ones, or in the handover sessions. Do you know the person you're about to support? Do you know a little bit more about that? Sorry, Alicia.
Yeah, brilliant. I was just going to say that can be a really useful one if you're working on like a resident of the day approach, to have like your staff members engage with the residents or person supportive about biographies and talking about their past and their life that they had before they were in a care home as well. So I think, or a service, I think that's really a useful one to evidence caring as well. Yeah, sorry.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a really good one. Our activities being captured with photo. Again, look, there we go. Activities photo. I jumped the gun to my point. So yeah, I'll obviously pass it. Consider creating an interaction such as My Voice, where people can use the talk to text to directly input their care plan. So for those on the call, if you weren't aware, there's a speech to text function within the Nourish system. You can activate the interaction, hold the phone up, and then you can talk into it, and my voice. This could be the resident themselves, the person we're caring for, and that will fill in the interaction for you, and you can submit that. Do you promote the evidence supporting relationships with friends and families through the circle of care? A lot of work ongoing with the circle of care and coming up, some really, really powerful stuff. So just keep an eye on that. I'm sure if you want to add anything there, Alicia.
No, I think that's great.
Cool. Perfect. Is the service responsive? So again, nice one to control within Nourish is the critical information section being updated regularly to reflect changing abilities, communication needs, medical conditions, dietary requirements, and risks. So you would have noticed the badges within the Nourish section. Are you going in and actually updating those? So are you resubmitting those assessments to make sure that that critical information is up to date and where it needs to be? Are you evidencing how people are supported to maintain relationships and follow interests? Are you capturing the outcomes of these interactions, such as improved well-being, reduction in medication, or more positive behaviour? And consider using consent signatures, interactions to evidence a person's agreement to care and treatment. Anything you want to add to that, Alicia?
No, I think overall, in terms of like it being responsive, it's just showing that, okay, so when something happens, how are we evidencing like the changes that we've made or how we've responded to that event or situation? So this is where like all your auditing and past versions of things would come in really useful in Nourish, especially if we're talking about like care plan reviews. Of course, you can see the changes that have been made on them and just evidencing how you're keeping up with those changes, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can see there, considering if you're used to the gold standard framework, is it completed? Are the DNA, CPR badges turned on for those who need them? Are any end of life care decisions being captured? That sort of thing. So
yeah, I'll just add one more point.
Please, yeah, go for it.
So with the consent signatures as well, especially when it talks about like the care plan agreement, I think that's a really good one because it can show, okay, we as an organisation are responding to an event, to the changes in somebody's care. And we're also communicating this with the family, and they're kind of responding as well by signing off on the care plan agreement to say like they agree with the way that person's being looked after. So I think that's really like some useful functionality on there to help you evidence responsiveness.
Excellent. Well, lead, a very important one. So are leaders knowledgeable and competent on all areas of the system and able to promote best practice with their digital systems? So this all comes back to sort of the work Alicia was showing at the start of this session. Are you familiar with how your day should run? You log into Nourish. Where am I looking first? What do I need to make sure is happening to make sure my service is promoting those best practices? And how can Nourish assist with that? And so you saw before with the checking of the warnings, checking of the handovers, making sure your interactions are up to date, and so on and so forth. Are leaders evidencing communication with their team using the messaging function within the system? So you're probably all aware there's a messaging function within Nourish. Are you evidencing it? If you don't know how to do that or want some ideas around that, again, reach out to your customer success team. That's what we're here for. Are managers consistently completing lessons learned, follow-up actions within the system, and ensuring that these are shared across their teams? Again, there's bits of functionality across that will help, such as the messaging system and auditing techniques that we can sort of talk you through to make sure that that's all up to date. Are leaders proactively monitoring the system, ensuring oversight of their service quality and highlight any risks? Are users being archived from the system swiftly when leaving the organisation? As you saw in our test site, the answer would be no for the demo site because it was all 4 weeks plus. But in your service, you've seen where that overview board is specifically for that, so you'll be able to go in there and archive the relevant people. Are leaders confident and competent to use areas of the system such as dashboards and reporting to ensure issues are dealt with appropriately and quickly? Again, sort of highlighting what we're saying throughout this here. The message is just being reiterated there. The use of dashboards and those areas we've covered earlier on in the session. Are leaders championing the change to digital and promoting an innovation, I would say an innovative mindset to their teams? Are they able to see the benefits of using technology to improve the ways of working? So it's always asking that question, you know, the benefit of technology. Am I using it to the best of its ability? You know, there's always things that we need to learn. And that's where your customer success manager will come in to give you a hand with that, so we can help you with those best practices and use of the system and how to achieve the goals that we're sort of laying out here. Yeah, and so I guess just to sort of finish on that section there, it's just, you know, CQC's come a long way, you know, and understanding of the digital care planning system, but you guys are the experts, and it's your home. Nourish will work with you to make sure that your needs and requirements are set, you know, and have that confidence, if things happen, you know, to push back or challenge, because the data is in there. You can evidence it with your Nourish system, and just have a clear understanding of how and why you're using the system to provide that better care. So, yeah. Cool. Right. I'm going to jump to the next one, but that's the end of sort of the section I have here. So,
Cool. Okay, brilliant. So we just wanted to run through a couple of bits for us, really. So in terms of Nourish, obviously, we're a fairly large organisation now. If you've been with us for a while, you'll probably have noticed it's grown quite a lot. So we just wanted to make sure that you knew who to contact for what. So obviously, you've got your customer success manager. So every single one of you will have a customer success manager. If you do not know who yours is, please drop an email to customersuccess@nourishcare.com and we can point you in the right direction. They can help you with the things that we've just talked about, really, so utilising the system. If you use our Nourish devices, of course, ordering any additional devices, any partnerships. So by partnerships, we mean sort of starting conversations with who we integrate with, so emails, rostering systems, etc. Also, we're responsible for looking after your contract. So if you're looking to renew or understand your current contract, they're the things that we can help you with. We also do have a customer support team here in Nourish. They're available 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. And they are here to help you with things like day-to-day queries with the system. How do I do X? Or any bugs. So if you find a bug in the system where you think something's not working quite how it should be, and they can help with that too. Any queries with the devices, like the device isn't working, etc. We also do have a self-service knowledge base where there's a load of articles that you can access. They're free of charge and they're available at any time just to help you and kind of help yourself. I've actually put a hyperlink on that one, Shading. Could you click on the link for us, please?
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I've linked to a specific article there. I just want to go on all collections. Cool. So within the Nourish system, there is a whole host of articles which I sometimes think people miss, and this can help you get the answer the quickest for how you can sort of find anything. You can see they're done by category. If you click into one, you'll be able to see the individual articles. So this one's around quick close tags. So there we go. Just quick snapshots that are available at any time, available off the devices as well. It can show you, give you pointers and tips on how to do things in the system. This will always be the quickest way to get an answer. Would always be to have a look on the help desk. Shane, would you mind just going in the platform and showing them how they access the help desk? So down the bottom right-hand corner, you can access our help desk from there. You can search for help. So you can search for individual one. Oh, we're not there yet.
Started talking about support.
Yes, you can see that there's a list of suggested articles there. If you click in, you can search for the one you want. If you click in, do you want to open it? So click in. If you scroll to the very bottom of an article, you will see that there's this option here, Open in Help Centre. It's very hidden. If you click on that, and then if you go to the very, very top and click the Nourish icon, this is our help centre. Okay, this is like the homepage for the help centre. What I always recommend for my customers and for any new customers is that you save this page as a bookmark so you can refer back to it. You will always need to be logged into the Nourish system just to access any articles. The next bit is just about how you contact our support team. So you can stay on, oh yeah, I was going to say So the way to get in touch with our support team, if you cannot find the answer yourself, or if there's a bug or a problem in the system, is that you would contact them through the live chat option, which is inside the Nourish system as well.
I'll show you that now. I'm sure everyone's very familiar
Yeah, I'm
with the
sure people are
system.
very familiar with this one. Cool. So at the bottom right hand corner, you open up this and then you press do you need help? Yes. You'll be presented like similar live chat systems with a couple of questions just to complete that, so our support team can point you in the right direction and so they have a bit of context. If you go through and select what's relevant, just want to do one for us.
Yeah, sure. Let's get back to it.
There you go. And then you'll be presented with other questions, etc. And then you can type a message into our support team and they will get back to you. This is the best way to contact our support team, and it is what we always recommend. Like the most efficient way is through the live chat. It's available all the time as well. We do have people there at night time as well to support your night staff, people there at weekends, bank holidays, etc. I think that was it.
Cool.
Yeah, so that was it. And then I think we've got some time for any questions.
Oh, I'll stop sharing the screen.
Thank you. There's a question in the chat. So there's the CQC event you mentioned you held. Are there slides or a recording of that people can access, and how would they access that?
Yeah, I can answer that one for you. There is. We have a link actually. Shane, would you mind showing on the Nourish website itself? We have links to our webinars, and it was a webinar, so we can show you that one.
Just bringing it up now, sorry.
You can always put the link in the chat, and I'm happy to email it to everybody afterwards so they've got that in their inboxes.
These are all our webinars that are available all the time for you guys to watch. There's some on there that are like system related, so how to set up your schedule, how to be a super user. And Shaken, if you just scroll down for me.
I'll just pop the link in the chat now so people can join us. They want to have a look. There we go. So if we scroll down.
There you go. It's that one. It's called Nourish X CQC
Yeah.
Q&A webinar.
First line.
Yeah. But we've got loads of webinars on there, and as functionality in the system changes, if it's quite a major change, we do like to post a webinar as well to help people prepare for the change and also ensure people know how to make the change.
For those on the call as well, some of the ones that I would sort of say are really useful for sort of, I guess, standard usage of the system. The pathways one is really, really handy, onboarding, transfer of care and sort of end of care, if that makes sense. So following that and just understanding that would be great. Again, any questions around any of the functionality in there, that's what we're here for. To give you
Here's another question in the chat. So somebody represents a domiciliary care agency. Can they still have the dashboard with pathways and everything that you've kind of gone through today?
Yeah, you can. If you're using fully, like, Nourish as you've just seen it, those dashboards are available to everyone. There might be some nuances in the data there and how it's input. So again, it would just be up to sort of if you approached, again, harping on about it, didn't mean to harp on about it as much, but if you approach your customer success manager, they can talk you through, making sure that the data is aligned and making sure that how it's been input is actually generating the right trends and whatnot that you need to see in the data. So
yeah, everything that we've shown today is Nourish as standard. We haven't shown any additional add-ons or anything at all. So
lovely. Okay, super. Thank you. Are there any other questions from anybody on the call? I'll just give a couple of seconds for people to think about it. Obviously, they know to contact their customer success manager. And I think, one of the ways is, like you were saying earlier, of things being communicated to providers in a usable way. Like you say, a lot of providers sort of say, well, I didn't realise this had changed on the system. And it's, they're so time pressured to kind of keep up with things. So generally, does that go to, when you say you sort of email it out, does it just go to kind of, is there a registered user, or how is that done?
Yeah,
by the look of your faces, that's a
she's chomping at the bit for this one. She is.
Thank you for asking. So at the point of sale, when the system's sold, our business development managers will take like the key contact or the super user, if you like, and that gets updated into our CRM, and we communicate out to those people. And we also have in the Nourish platform, where you contact support, you get notifications when things change. So when people log in, it'll be like, hello, Alicia, we're making this change on this date. This is what it looks like. And we do also email out changes as well. It's really important for providers to let us know if their super user or managers change, which obviously we know in this industry is quite frequent, just to ensure that we have the right contact details for people to communicate the changes.
Yeah, okay, understood. And just a quick one around, I know Nourish is changing all the time and there's new add-ons and stuff like that. What's the kind of plan for the future? What is there anything you can share in terms of what you see happening in the immediate kind of, next 12 months that might be useful for providers to prepare for or be aware of?
Yes, there's a lot. So I'll take that one. There's a lot. So what I would say I'll talk a little bit about a couple of things on this, but what I would say for like a detailed view or a more like interactive, again, you guessed it, talk to your customer success manager. We've got a whole, this is what our sort of our sliced bread is really. That's what our bread and butter is. So, so some of the things to highlight sort of there's a lot of work around incidents and accidents coming, which is going to be really cool. A lot of work around AI as well, and how that's going to. So you may, if you keep up with any of the newsletters or whatnot, you would have noticed our new director of AI has joined in the last month or two. A lot of work around fixing the smaller problems as well. So things like a save for later button on interactions, which I can say out loud. So people are probably here going, yes, it's finally coming. So things like that, those sort of ones that have been on the back burner for a little bit that a lot of people have been asking. So yeah, there's a lot of work. Focus has come from the fact that we've got a new chief product officer who's sort of shaking up the way that we are delivering this and how the teams are sort of pushing forward. So go for it.
I think just to echo what Shaden's saying, it's really hard for us to summarize that in like 1 or 2 minutes because there's just so many product changes. But we're looking at like accessibility framework. We're looking at reporting, so making some standard reports for things like CQC reports, safeguarding, etc. Those kind of things that we're looking at. We're looking at how making the system more data secure for like agency logins, so having temporary agency logins that sort of get archived after a while. We have just got, it's really hard because we've got so much, our product team's grown massively over the last 12 months. But your customer success manager would be happy to run through that in a separate session with you, but it is available on the
So we have our roadmap available in the knowledge base here. So if you were to go into here, type roadmap, you can see the product roadmap. That's available to obviously anyone who can access the knowledge base. So you can move through and see those there. Obviously, if that spikes in the interest, again, that's what we're here for. So yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. And I'll come to Alex in a minute. Louise has put in GP Connect question mark. I understand GP Connect is operational already on Nourish. Is that correct? How would Louise go about that for her service, getting that enabled?
Yeah, brilliant. Good question. We actually have a handy article about that. There's a few steps that you need to complete. Obviously, we've had to comply with the NHS, so there's quite a bit on there. So you'd need things like to get the ODS codes. You'd need to make sure some information between the GP and Nourish matches identically. So it's called a hard match. So that means like no zeros instead of O's, no spaces, etc. So there's a whole list of things on here that tell you the sort of the steps to take, and that one's within the system, within the Nourish product. But yes, GP Connect is live and functioning, and we have users using it. We are actually hosting a webinar next week, I believe, on GP Connect as well, if anybody would like to sign up for that one.
Okay, super. And Louise, I know you're from Care Dorset. They are DSPT compliant, so you shouldn't have an issue being able to get into GP Connect as well. Alex, did I go back to your question?
Yeah, which actually ties in with GP Connect. I mean, with integrations taking place at an ever increasing rate, my question is more for the benefit of the people watching this webinar, participating and watching it later. can you share with us how many of your total users, what percentage are already using GP Connect? Do you see an upward trend? Do you see an upward trend in people using the friends and family portal? Because these are sort of like things that are available now and providers can find useful. And obviously your product road, development roadmap will keep them engaged for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, of course. So in terms of the stats in how many people are using GP Connect, how many people are using the family portal, we don't have those to hand right now on this call.
Okay.
I think that we would have, but we don't have them here at the moment. Like I say, we are hosting a webinar just to ensure that all our customers know that GP Connect is there to try and boost the volume of users that are using it. But unfortunately, I don't have that to hand.
Fair enough.
I would say the trend is upwards though.
It's upwards.
It's and it's always a nice one there. I know for me at least, it's a really nice one to bring into conversation because it's, as you say, it's all there. It's ready to go. People can just essentially switch it on if they're ready to go. So yeah. Cool.
Thank
you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Super, thank you. Sorry we've run over a couple of minutes, but it's important to get those sort of answered. Shaden or Alicia, if you're able to pop that link to the webinar just in the chat, I'll make sure I send it out with the YouTube recording of this as well, and then people have got that.
I was looking at our webinars, I was thinking, I'll send it over, but you mean the one next week. So yes, that's absolutely fine. I'll pop that over to you, Mel, and you can distribute that. Sorry, I'll have to get that from the
market. Mel, were you asking for the link to the webinar for GP Connect or the article on how to set it up? The link to the webinar? The link to the webinar, because Lucy from Diversibilities has just popped in the chat. Could we send her the link? So if we pop it in there, I'll make sure it goes out with this recording as well, and then nobody will fall through the nets, so to speak. Yeah, of course. No problem. Just with the webinar, if you sign up and then something comes up on the day and you can't make it, as long as you've signed up, you'll be sent the recording afterwards anyway. Brilliant. That's fantastic. Okay, super. Right. So I think that, and sorry, Shaden, was there something you want to add?
No, I just whispered excellent. So,
good. Okay, so just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining us and engaging with providers in this area in terms of kind of things they're looking for. Hopefully, and thank you to the providers who've come along today. Hopefully, it's given you a bit of information and also who to contact in future as well with any of your queries. So that's fantastic. So we will send the recording round. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Take care. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.